As we gaze into the icy horizons, where day dances with night in some ethereal plane, we can't help but see the rivers and rocks and valleys placed before us and wonder why... that's getting kind of close. Okay, you know what? Let's just take this opportunity to remember and thank one Jefferson Beck.
It's not that often that you find someone that you work well with creatively and also just really enjoy spending time with. And Jefferson, you have definitely been one of those people for me here at NASA. Jefferson and I did a lot of interviews in a lot of different cities for JPSS, and we established kind of an interview routine where I'd ask all the very basic stuff, and then Jefferson would come in at the end with these really thoughtful, big picture questions.
Making a forecast in the morning is not good enough.
And those questions that he asked always helped me understand what the story was really about.
After almost 8 years working together, I have so many Jefferson stories I could share. From the time in Punta Arenas, when despite 2 separate sets of doors designed specifically to keep this from happening, we let a dog into the grocery store together, to the time on my very first day working for Jefferson when I didn't have a badge yet and I got trapped off center and I kept calling his cell phone to come rescue me and he kept declining to call because he didn't know anyone from Kansas. And then when I finally showed up over an hour later, he was so apologetic and felt so guilty. To the many times we sat nervously texting each other across Dan, who was furiously cleaning his already spotless desk in between our 2 mountains of crap. But amongst all the funny and weird stories about Jefferson and I and all the strange things we've gotten to do together in this job, I think nothing is more important about Jefferson than his kindness. Everyone is more comfortable in a room Jefferson is in because he cares so much about the people and how every single person in that room feels. Whether they feel welcome, whether they feel comfortable, whether they feel loved. When I first joined the multimedia team, Jefferson went out of his way again and again and again to make sure that I felt like I was part of the team, which was not always the easiest thing to do, but Jefferson made it happen.
Definitely want to say thank you for so much, but in particular for how much of an advocate and an ally you have been for your coworkers. I think your institutional knowledge, your disposition, and your ability to carefully navigate just the quagmire that is NASA has left the workplace such a better place for your colleagues. From your insight and wisdom into how to navigate, certain groups of people, how to navigate certain situations. I think that's something we're going to miss terribly. And I just know you have worked and made the workplace better for us in so many different ways.
Working alongside Jefferson was like working alongside in equal parts Jedi and Mr. Rogers. Jefferson is one of the wisest people I know, both in terms of institutional knowledge and in life advice. He's also an incredibly graceful wordsmith, and I always walked away from our conversations with a deep admiration for his thought process. He never once made me feel silly or less than as his intern/mentee with endless questions. Jefferson is a consummate gentleman and a professional, and I'll greatly miss his guidance, enthusiasm, narration voice, and most of all, friendship.
I would like to make this a message about the next chapter that you will embark on. And I know it's going to be a great one because you're going to make it that way. So this is a message to, let's say, your future or potential employer. If you are considering hiring Jefferson Beck, you'll get 3 great qualities. 1, he'll go after any project, no matter how unglamorous. Case in point would be Operation Ice Bridge. Only one of those words, bridge, is remotely fun, and he willingly got himself into tiny planes, flying around frozen, barren wastelands, somehow capturing magic and transporting us to a place that many of us will never get to go to. Number 2, is you don't need to spend any money on hard drives. I'm not sure how he does it, but he has a bespoke artisanal filing system that seems impenetrable to me. And yet, whenever I ask him for a particular kind of shot, he knows exactly what to provide, and it's always great. And I think a lot of us have had the good problem of having too much good stuff to sort through.
I want to do one thing, and one thing only. Bring down pie.
Third, you also get a great team player, someone who's willing to jump in on anything, whether it's acting in a professional capacity for a video or something a little more extracurricular.
3, 2, cut.
I think Jefferson is one of those people that is better having around. And I don't mean that like casually, but I think there are people that are calming and bring the best out of people.
Don't you forget about me.
Hey Jefferson, I wanted to say thank you so much for being such an amazing colleague over the last decade or so. Going with you to Alaska for the Above campaign. It was one of my first field campaigns, and I remember thinking that you had it all together and you were doing such a great job, and you were out in the brush taking video and wading into the methane bubble ponds. I also remember driving around, I was like, oh, Jefferson, he's great. I get to sit in the front seat all the time. He never calls shotgun. And then midway through the trip, realizing that you were intentionally taking the back seat the whole time so that I would have to make small talk for hours with the scientist in the front.
Hi, Jefferson. I figured that the most appropriate way to share my appreciation for everything that you've done here at NASA, and especially working with me to make videos for social media, is to subject myself to the same kind of torture I've been putting you through since I got here. So I'm going to be filming this horizontally, trying to crop it vertically, and I'm giving myself a hard 90-second cutoff, just like I've given you. Also, this is just about my 9th take, so I'm realizing how hard this is. Anyway, all of that is to say, I know I've asked a lot of you and all the video producers since I've been here, and I just have really appreciated that you've never been resistant to all of the asks. At an organization like NASA that is historically very slow to change, very resistant to change, you've never been like that. You've jumped right in, you had ideas, you started making Instagram reels, and to this day you still have some of the highest, best performing, Instagram reels on the channel. And I think that's just really a testament to the fact that you're really good at your job, and even the chaotic masses of the internet recognize it. I knew that, this team knows that, but I think to have the entire internet say that yes, these videos are good, Jefferson Beck is good, is really a testament to Ryan, don't you dare leave that in there.
I think we were all spoiled with how great of a manager you were, and even more to have as a colleague. From Pi Day to talking about random things in the office. Even especially as someone who would equally admire the world around when working on field campaigns or at launches, like that potato bug we found. Or to geek out about new filming technology and experimenting with how we can implement it within our storytelling. So much VR and so much 360. With that, you have always produced thoughtful content to promote Earth science within NASA and outside. And that is something I think we all strive to do.
One thing that drew me to working at Goddard has to be the culture amongst the video producers. And that culture didn't happen in a vacuum. It didn't happen magically. It happened because of people like you, Jefferson. leading in productions, in storytelling, in compassion, and in kindness. That all created a culture that took over a decade and so much more to establish, but it'll last for decades to come. And that's something to be proud of. That's something to look back as a legacy. And I cannot thank you enough for that. I am so sad to see you go, but I am so much more excited to see what you do in the future with your talents and, most importantly, your character. That is something I look up to so much.
Thank you so much for everything. And, you know, it's definitely gonna feel weird without you. And we really appreciate all that you have done and continue to do for your coworkers. So thank you so much, Jefferson, and we definitely wish best for you.
I'm gonna miss you and your friendship and mentorship and guidance and yeah, just all around, I don't know, good vibes, I guess. So it's gonna be a big change, and I think we're all gonna feel it for a long time. So good luck.
I don't know what Goddard's going to be like without Jefferson. It's hard to imagine. So thank you, Jefferson, for everything you've done for me and for us. You will be greatly missed.